Alright, now we're going to go into Daniel. Book of Daniel is very important for laying the foundation to understanding end-time prophetic events. So Daniel chapter 2, if you want to, you can go ahead and read Daniel chapter 2, but make sure you pay attention to the Nebuchadnezzar's dream and the interpretation of Nebuchadnezzar's dream. So you can go ahead and push pause and read Daniel chapter 2. Okay, Daniel chapter 2. Almost all Bible scholars agree on who these kingdoms are. So I'm going to just say, for the sake of time, the gold kingdom is Babylon. The silver kingdom is Medo-Persian Empire. The bronze kingdom is Alexander the Great's empire, the Greek empire. The iron kingdom is the Roman Empire, and the iron and clay is the last empire that will exist when God comes and establishes His kingdom. We saw that. Now let's look at this. We want to read first. We want to pay attention to verse 39. If you can look at verse 39. But after you shall arise another kingdom inferior to yours, then another, a third kingdom of bronze, which shall rule over all the earth. Now, as we recall, Alexander the Great's empire did not rule over all the earth. But Alexander the Great's empire ruled over a very large portion of the earth. So sometimes when the Bible talks about all of the earth, or everyone dies, or everything, sometimes it means just a very large portion, but not everyone. Or everything. Please don't stretch that one too far. But we see clearly here that sometimes it does not mean everything. It just means a very large portion. So let's go on with this. Look at this. And pay attention to verse 42. There's 10 toes and there's 10 kings. See, we're trying to find out the last empire that is here when Jesus comes and takes over. There's 10 toes on the feet. Now toes, there's 10. And when we get in Revelation, we're going to see that there's 10 kings that are part of the final empire, and which is the kingdom of the Antichrist. And these 10 kings will join with him. So, and we see that some of the nations in this final empire, in verse 42, some of the nations will be strong and some of the nations will be weak. We also see that, look at verse 40 real quick. The fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, and inasmuch as iron breaks in pieces and shatters everything, and like iron that crushes, that kingdom will break in pieces and crush all others. Now, what happened to the Roman Empire? The Roman Empire broke in pieces. At first, it consumed a very large territory, but then it fell apart and broke in pieces. So basically, it consumed the earth and broke it in pieces, just exactly like it's being explained here. It consumed the earth and then broke it in pieces. And so now, what we have today over in Europe are the broken pieces from the Roman Empire. It's exactly the way the Bible has described it. Now, verse 43 is interesting when it talks about they will mingle with the seed of men. What that means is, when you're mingling with the seed of men, what it's talking about giving your sons and daughters in marriage to another nation in order to form an alliance. See, back then, kings would do that. I'm a king and you're a king, so I would give my daughter to you, or my daughter to your son, so that they would get married, and because of that, we would hopefully form a strong alliance, and we would be one nation, or we would be close to one nation. Now the Bible says here clearly that they will try to form a strong alliance. But because they are iron and clay, they will not truly adhere to one another. Now what is adhere? The word adhere, it's like taking two things and you take an adhesive and you stick them together. Now they have adhered to one another. They're stuck together. The Bible says these nations, no matter how hard they try, they will not truly stick together. Why? Because they're iron and clay. Some of them are strong and some of them are weak. They will not stick together. See, if they had truly stuck together, then it would have been one type of metal. You see the head of gold? Why is the head made of solid gold? The head is made of solid gold because it is a nation that is truly stuck together. You look at the United States, for example. The United States, all the states are united, and therefore, when you look at one state, you really look at the whole country. You don't just look at the United States and say, you know what, South Dakota is really just, there ain't much up there, there ain't much to it. No, you don't say that, because South Dakota is part of the United States. And so the whole nation is united. And this is what the final government is going to look like when Jesus comes back, because this is the one that he destroys. The final government is going to be a government consisting of strong and weak nations who really are not unified. They're going to try to be unified, but they're really not. It looks exactly like what we already have. We have what we call the United Nations. What's the United Nations? It's us trying to form a world alliance. The world is trying to ally itself, and they're not really doing a good job of it. Yes, they have their own laws, and every nation that's part of it must follow the laws, but as far as governing themselves, every nation still governs themselves. And this is the nation that God destroys. The kingdom, the empire that God destroys. It's a loosely knit empire that really is not united. It really is not united, and it can't unite. So that's what it's showing us very clearly about the last nation that will be here when Jesus comes back. Now, is it the United Nations? Maybe. It might not be. It might be the European Union. Might be something a little bit stronger than the United Nations, a little bit more closely knit. But whatever it is, they will not truly stick together and be a one world government the way some people believe. Why? Because the Bible teaches it right here. We just read it. This is the nation that God destroys. It will have 10 prominent kings. I don't know if these 10 kings will be rulers over all the nation, or if these 10 kings will just be rulers over their 10 kingdoms, but they'll be prominent for some reason. And we'll look at more of that as we move along. But that's what we're in Daniel. We're in Daniel to learn about the final empire. We're in Daniel to learn about the Antichrist. And it's going to help us to see and understand Revelation when we get to Revelation.